The Australian fishing industry grosses approximately $2.2 billion a year, and as Australians, on average, we consume around 25 kilograms of seafood a year per person. What we see as abundant and infinite stock of seafood on our supermarket shelves has actually been suffering in an underwater crisis.
Overfishing is the act of harvesting fish at an unsustainable level and in turn depletes the stock of Australian marine species to dangerously low levels. Unsustainable fishing can have great economic implications if no precaution is taken, but most importantly, greatly impacts the surrounding ecosystem biodiversity. Overfishing is causing the degradation of many marine species, including the southern bluefin tuna. According to the International Union of Conservation of Nature's list of threatened species, the southern bluefin tuna is classified as critically endangered.
The tuna have a long lifespan of up to 30 years, growing up to 2.5 meters in length and can weigh up to 400 kilograms. Additionally, they have a slow growth rate. They spawn exclusively in the Indian Ocean and navigate around the southern hemisphere's oceans before reaching Australian shores.
Overfishing of the southern bluefin tuna, which is now conservation dependent, has reduced the species to 6 to 9% of its original biomass. The most predominant fishing method employed to catch the tuna is longline fishing, utilising multiple baited hooks. The other method is purse seine fishing, which involves surrounding schools of fish with netting closed off at both ends. The purse seine method is increasingly being used in Australia's fishing of the tuna to minimise bycatches of seabirds. The juvenile tuna are harvested in the Great Australian Bight and then raised in cages offshore to maturity through aquaculture sea farming. Nonetheless, this process is ethically questionable, as the tuna are extremely large fish not accustomed to confinement. Japan and Australia have been the worst offenders of southern bluefin tuna overfishing. From 1985 to 2005, Japan illegally harvested approximately $6 billion worth of fish, causing a 500% decrease in future population numbers, compared to Australia's decrease of approximately 250%. Consequently, their annual quota was reduced. As a result, the Commission for the Conservation of Southern Bluefin Tuna, or the CCSBT, was formed to combat the declining population numbers of the fish.
The overfishing of southern bluefin tuna in the southern Pacific has caused dramatic population decline. As the fishing industry continues to overexploit this resource, the tuna, with a slow growth rate, cannot reproduce fast enough to overcome this barrier. The southern bluefin tuna has apex predator status, playing a fundamental role in maintaining the productivity of its surrounding ecosystem. Thus, overfishing is not just an isolated problem to this species.
Let's look at this diagrammatically. At the top of the food chain sits the apex predators like the southern bluefin tuna. Beneath the top predators sit carnivores such as smaller sardines, which consume the level beneath being the herbivores, including plankton and sea urchins. At the bottom of the chain are the photoautotrophs like plants, which produce the organic compounds that all organisms need to survive. What occurs is as the tuna numbers decline, smaller carnivores dramatically increase as there is nothing consuming them. Their numbers become so large that there is not enough herbivores for them to consume, and thus competition amongst the species for vital resources results in the decline of this level. Subsequent occurrences happen to the following levels of the food chain, and it can be seen that if we continue to overexploit this resource, the biodiversity and health of this aquatic environment will suffer immensely.
Fishing on such a large scale requires a level of management to sufficiently maintain a viable population of tuna, ensuring its security for future generations and reducing negative impacts on ocean biodiversity. Public awareness is essential for the management of the southern bluefin tuna, as we are the main consumers and thus the public supplies the demand. The overfishing crisis has led to research efforts to develop methods preserving the male semen and maintaining its reproductive properties in order to successfully inseminate the female ovary. This will not only ensure the survival of the species in the event of a worst-case scenario, but will also allow artificial fertilization of females to be released into spawning areas, thus maintaining a viable population. Measures are in place under the instruction of the CSIRO to manage and monitor the tuna. These procedures include the electronic tagging of tuna and genetic abundance estimations, providing a better understanding of the migration patterns and breeding capacity of the stock. Overall, the preventative measures, combined with the precautions implemented by the CCSBT, have allowed the species to return to original numbers. However, if we wish to see this species around for years to come, we must continue restoration efforts and also understand that sustainability is the key to species survival.